My dear child, lean in close, for the Spirit is whispering something beautiful, and I do not want you to miss it. There comes a time in every soul's journey when you stop running and start listening. Not to the noise of the world, not to the criticism of man, not even to the echo of your own fear, but to the sacred stillness of God. Yes, baby, that hush between your breath. That's where He lives. God does not always announce Himself with thunder. He does not always come wrapped in lightning. Sometimes He shows up in the ordinary, soft as dew on morning grass, quiet as your grandmother's prayers, firm as your own heartbeat. And so I ask you today, how do you know when God is directing your life? You see, my child, we live in a world that loves noise. It loves the sound of applause, the roar of success, the flashing lights and the grand gestures. We are taught to believe that anything worth hearing must be loud, anything worth having must come with fireworks. But I have lived long enough, cried deep enough, prayed long enough, and listened closely enough to know this. God doesn't need to shout. He does not wrestle for your attention like the world does. No, baby. He waits. He waits in the quiet of your soul. He waits in the stillness of morning light when your eyes are still half closed, and your mind has not yet been cluttered by the troubles of the day. He waits in the hush between heartbeats, in the gentle sigh of the wind brushing against your window pane. That's where you'll find Him. God is not always the booming voice from the mountain. Sometimes He is the whisper that brushes past your spirit when you're standing at the crossroads of life, certain, afraid, and too wary to keep pretending you've got it all figured out. His direction doesn't always come with thunder. It comes like a memory you didn't know you had. It comes like the warmth of your mother's hand, like the quiet strength of your father's gaze. It comes, and it keeps you from falling when everything around you crumbles. You don't need to wait for the clouds to part or for angels to appear in your living room. You don't need to see a burning bush to know God is speaking. Sometimes His signs are as small as a persistent feeling you just can't shake, a peace that doesn't make sense, a tug in your heart when everything else says no, a quiet nudge, soft and sure, like the press of truth against your soul. And I know, child, I know how much we want clarity. We want God to be loud. We want Him to write it in the sky. We want neon lights and audible voices. Because trusting a whisper requires a kind of faith we don't always feel ready for. But God is not in the business of overwhelming your senses. He is in the business of cultivating your trust. He wants you to choose stillness. He wants you to find Him in the quiet, because it is in the quiet that we are most honest. It is in the quiet that we take off our masks, sit down our burdens, and sit bare before Him. The world shouts to confuse you, but God whispers to center you. Oh, if you've ever sat in silence long enough, if you've ever dared to turn off the noise and turn inward, you've felt Him. You might not have had the language for it, but something deep in you stirred. Something told you to take one more step when you were ready to give up. Something told you to call that friend, to walk away from that job, to forgive that person, to say yes when fear screamed no. That something, beloved, is not random. That something is not coincidence. That something is the sacred whisper of a loving God who doesn't shout over your chaos. He speaks peace into it. Now I must tell you, there's a reason God speaks in whispers. A whisper means you have to draw near. It means you have to lean in. You have to hush your own thoughts to hear His. It means relationship. God doesn't want fans, child. He wants intimacy. He doesn't just want your hands raised in public. He wants your ears tuned in private. And when you begin to lean in, when you begin to sit with the silence and recognize it not as a void but as a sanctuary, you begin to see what others miss. You begin to walk with a confidence that has no explanation. You begin to know things that haven't happened yet because the whisper told you. You begin to move with grace because the whisper guided you. The world will ask you, "How did you know?" And you will smile, not because you heard a sermon or read a book, but because you heard God in the stillness, because He told you in the quiet, because the Holy Spirit whispered something into your spirit that no man could take away. Don't let the volume of the world make you doubt the validity of the whisper. Just because it wasn't loud doesn't mean it wasn't real. Some of the strongest trees grow in silence. Some of the deepest healing happens in the dark. Some of the most sacred answers are wrapped in stillness. Trust that, child. Trust it when your friends don't understand your decisions. Trust it when the path isn't paved, but your soul has peace. Trust it when everything outside you is shaking, but inside you are still. You are being guided, not with loudspeakers, but with love. You'll start to realize that divine direction feels less like a command and more like a calm knowing. Less like being pushed and more like being gently led. You'll stop needing signs every day because your spirit has begun to recognize the sound of His whisper. That's when you'll know He's with you. And oh, my child, when you learn to follow the whisper, you'll walk into places that your resume didn't qualify you for. You'll find yourself protected in situations that should broken you. You'll meet people who bless you simply because you were where you were supposed to be. That's divine direction. That's holy orchestration. It didn't have to be loud to be powerful. It didn't have to be dramatic to be divine. It was enough that it was God. So today, take time to be still. Tune your heart to the gentle frequency of heaven. Lean in, baby. Don't wait for the thunder. Just listening, He's whispering. There are few things in life that sting like a door closed in your face. You stand there, heart open, hands outstretched, full of hope, only to find the path blocked, the phone unanswered. The opportunity vanished like smoke in the wind. You pray, you fast, you believe. And still the answer is silence. Still the door remains shut. But I want to tell you something tender and true. Something I've learned through Hartak and Halalijos. When God closes a door, it is not to punish you. No, baby, it is to prepare you. It is to protect you. It is to position you. You see, we are creatures of urgency. We want everything now, right now, and maybe even yesterday. But God, He is not moved by our clocks, nor confined by our calendars. He moves with eternity in His hands. He sees not only what is, but what could be. And what could be sometimes requires waiting. It requires delay, requires divine interruption. Oh, I've stood in front of doors that I wanted to burst open. I've begged God, pleaded with Him to change His mind, to make it work, to let me in. But years later, I looked back and wept, not because I had missed out, but because I had been spared. What I once called rejection, I now call redemption. What I once called delay, I now call destiny. When God says, not now, He is not denying you the dream. He is shaping you for the dream. Because, baby, you can't carry a crown if your shoulders haven't learned to bear the weight. You can't lead nations if you haven't learned how to serve in secret. You can't build something lasting if your foundation hasn't been tested by time. Sometimes the door is closed because the room behind it is too small for your calling. Sometimes it's closed because there are wolves dressed in silk waiting on the other side. Sometimes it's simply not your door. And child, when it's not your door, no amount of pushing, praying, or performing will open it. We must learn to honor the closed doors. Yes, I said honor them. We must learn to praise God for every no that kept us from marrying the wrong person, accepting the wrong job, signing the wrong deal, trusting the wrong friend. We must learn to trust that what God withholds is just as holy as what He gives. And the delays, oh, the delays are the divine cocoon. They feel like stillness, like stagnation, like being forgotten. But inside that quiet place, transformation is happening. Your roots are growing deep. Your faith is stretching wide. Your character is being refined like gold in fire. You may not see the growth, but heaven sees it. Heaven rejoices over it. God is never late. Not once in the history of eternity has he missed his cue. He moves when it is time, and not a moment before. And when he moves mountains. He parts seas. He shatters chains. He opens doors that no man can shut. But until that moment, he invites us to trust him in the waiting room. Do you know what happens in the waiting room? We learn to let go of control. We learn to stop performing for love and approval. We learn to recognize the sound of his voice. We learn that peace is not found in answers, but in presence. God is not in a hurry. He is too wise for that. He knows that a blessing given too soon can become a burden. He knows that success without preparation can crush the soul. So he waits. He waits for you to grow. He waits for the soil to be ready. He waits for the timing to align like stars across the night sky. And while you wait, he is still working. Oh yes, child. Don't you dare think that delay means abandonment. Don't you dare believe the lie that God has forgotten your name. No. He is in the details. He is weaving things together behind the scenes. He is setting the stage. He is preparing the hearts of people you haven't even met yet. He is aligning the resources, the timing, the favor, all for you. One day that closed door will make sense. One day you will shout with joy for the delay that once made you cry. One day you will look back and thank God, not just for what he gave you, but for what he refused to give you too soon. You see, the closed doors and delays, they are not dead ends. They are detours that keep you on the narrow road. They are signs that the Father loves you too much to let you settle for less than divine design. They are the pauses that protect the promise. There is a sacred rhythm to God's movement, and we must learn to dance to it. We must learn to rest when he says rest. We must learn to wait when he says wait. We must learn to stop knocking when the door is closed and start worshiping instead. Because worship turns waiting into preparation. Worship turns pain into praise. Worship turns what looks like a delay into a divine dialogue. Don't rush what God is doing. You are not late. You are not less than. You are being cultivated. You are being carved by the hand of the Almighty himself. Every no is a redirection. Every wait is a womb. Every delay is a setup for something greater. And when the time is right, when the stars align, when your soul is ready, when the season is ripe, God will swing open a door so wide, you will understand why every other one had to close. You will walk through it not with doubt, but with dignity, not with fear, but with faith. And you will know deep down in your bones that you were always being led, always being loved. So don't curse the delays. Don't fight the closed doors. Instead, bow your head and say, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for what you're doing, even when I don't understand it. Thank you for loving me enough to say no. Thank you for leading me even in the dark." Because that, my child, that is where trust becomes truth. That is where delay becomes destiny. There is a kind of peace, child, that can't be explained with words. It doesn't come from a change in circumstance. It doesn't depend on who stayed or who walked away. It doesn't arrive when the bank account is full or when the diagnosis turns out good. No, this peace, it is holy. It is heavy with truth and soft with mercy. It slips in quietly, like a warm breeze through an open window. And when it settles upon you, God is near. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself with drums or trumpets. But it holds you together when everything else is falling apart. It is that calm in your belly when you should be worried out of your mind. It is that stillness in your spirit when the waves rise around you. It's the kind of peace that doesn't make sense to people watching you, because they know what you've been through. They know the hell you've walked through, and still, your hands are steady, Your voice doesn't tremble. Your smile is real. That, my dear, is not a performance. That is not strength you conjured up from your own will. That is the presence of God. See, when God steps into your situation, He doesn't always change what's outside. Sometimes, He simply quiets what's inside. You may still be walking through the fire, but you don't smell like smoke. You may still be in the storm, but the storm is no longer in you. He whispers to the winds of your worry, and they obey. He speaks to the ocean of your fear, and it calms. That's peace. That's proof. That's presence. I've seen it in the eyes of a mother standing by a hospital bed. I've heard it in the voice of a man who just lost everything but still said, "It is well with my soul." I felt it in my own chest, in the middle of nights too heavy to carry, when I had no strength left to cry, and still, somehow, I wasn't afraid. Peace is not the absence of trouble. It is the assurance of presence. It's God saying, "I'm here," even when everything else says you're alone. It's the divine whisper wrapped in silence that rests when there's no earthly reason to rest. Peace doesn't mean the battle is over. It means the war inside of you has been won. Sometimes we chase signs. We want the burning bush. We want handwriting on the wall. But peace, child peace, is the purest sign that God is guiding. It doesn't show up with lightning, but it stays when the thunder rolls. It doesn't always come first, but it never leaves you once it's truly arrived. And you will know it when it comes. You'll be sitting in the same house, facing the same mountain, walking the same hard road, and yet something in you feels different. Lighter, grounded. Not because the path changed, but because you changed. You stopped trying to fight everything. You stopped trying to carry it all alone. You finally laid your burdens down at His feet, and in return, He wrapped you in peace. And I must say, you don't fake peace. No, baby, you don't pretend peace. You either carry it or you don't. And when you do, people see it, they feel it. It becomes your fragrance. It becomes your rhythm. People will come to you just to be near it, not knowing that what they sense is not you, but Him within you. Because when you're in His presence, you start to reflect Him. You move differently. You speak softly but with authority. You wait without worry. You walk without fear. That's the power of peace. It anchors you when the winds of life come to test you. It roots you when the world tries to shake you loose. It keeps you from running when everything in you wants to flee. Oh yes, my child, peace is power. And yet, we often trade it away. We trade it for anxiety, for control, for endless striving. We fill our days with noise, our minds with chaos, our hearts with fear. And then we wonder why we can't feel Him anymore. But God doesn't shout over the storm you created. He waits. He waits until you get still again. He waits until you sit quietly, hands open, ready to listen. Not for the answer you want, but for the presence you need. That's when He enters. And when He does, peace comes with Him. Not like a guest, but like a rightful king returning to his throne. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to earn it. You just have to make room for it. Clear out the noise. Turn down the voices. Breathe. Listen. And suddenly, there it is. A peace that passes understanding. A peace that guards your heart and your mind. A peace that says, "Be still. I've got this." Don't ignore that peace. Don't brush it off. It's not weakness. It's not denial. It's your compass. It's your confirmation. It is the Holy Spirit Himself reminding you that even here, even now, God is with you. So when you feel that stillness rise up inside you like warm water on a cold day, when you feel your shoulders drop and your breath return to you, know this: you are not alone. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are wrapped in the arms of peace, and that peace is not just a feeling. It is a person. It is Emmanuel. It is God with us. Hold on to it, child. Protect it. Guard it. When you find it, don't let it go. because the world will try to steal it with fear, with noise, with urgency. But you don't belong to the world. You belong to the one who calms seas with a word. And if he can calm the sea, he can calm you too. So walk on, not in panic, but in peace. Speak not in haste, but in peace. Move not with doubt, but with that deep, holy knowing that wherever there is peace, there is God. And wherever there is God, there is everything you need. There is something mighty sacred about being hidden, about being tucked away from the spotlight, about being in the quiet places where nobody is clapping for you, where nobody is calling your name, where nobody sees the work you're doing behind the veil. Now, at first glance, it might feel like punishment. It may even feel like rejection. But child, I have come to tell you, it is preparation. God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. He does not build warriors in the open. No, he crafts them in the shadows, in the silence, in the still places where faith is forged and pride is stripped away. You see, God will always prepare you before he presents you. He will always shape the foundation before he lays the crown, because he knows what you don't. What is elevated too soon will surely crumble, and he loves you too much to let you rise before you're ready. There is a rhythm to his refining. He does not rush. He molds. He chisels. He stretches. He humbles. And while the world might be applauding others, while doors seem to swing open for everyone but you, God is doing something far greater in your waiting. He is forming your roots so deep that no storm will shake you when you rise. He is teaching your heart to beat with wisdom and compassion. He is showing you how to carry the weight of blessing without it breaking you. Oh, my child, people love the mountaintop. They love the spotlight and the stage. But few are willing to stay in the wilderness long enough to be made strong. Few are willing to let the season of quiet work on them. But that season, it is holy. Don't despise it. Don't run from it. Don't mistake it for failure. Because in that season you are becoming. And what you are becoming is far more important than where you are going. The soil does not reveal the seed while it is still growing. The tree does not shout about its roots. The butterfly does not flutter until it has first wrestled in the dark of the cocoon. So why then, beloved, do you think you must bloom before you are ready? Let the Lord prepare you. Let him strip away what can't come with you to the next level. Let him build in you a character that matches the calling. Let him teach you to serve before you lead. Let him anoint your hands in secret before they ever touch a microphone or a title or a throne. God elevates what he prepares, and he prepares what he loves. You see, many want promotion, but they don't want the process. They want to soar, but not to surrender. They want blessings, but not the brokenness that brings wisdom. But child, anything built without preparation is a tower of cards in the wind, and God doesn't build that way. Oh no, he builds with eternity in mind. He builds with fire-tested bricks and water-washed hearts. He builds with patience. He builds with care. And so he will take you through the valleys, not to destroy you, but to develop you. He will put you in rooms where no one knows your name. He will let your phone sit silent. He will have you walk through seasons where your gifts seem unnoticed and your prayers seem unanswered. Not because he's far, but because he's near enough to do real work on your soul. Preparation is not punishment. It is proof that you are called. It is proof that something great rests on your life. You will know you are in preparation when doors close without reason, when your plans fall apart in spite of your faithfulness, when God says, wait, when you are ready to run. You will know it because something in your spirit will be unsettled, not with bitterness, but with the holy age of knowing there's more, but yet not now. That is when the real work begins. That is when God shapes your prayer life until it bleeds truth. That is when he shows you who your real friends are. That is when he teaches you how to worship when the lights are off and no one is watching. That is when he tests your yes. Not the kind you say on Sunday morning, but the one you say when it's just you and your pillow and a heart that doesn't understand but chooses to trust. You don't need a stage to grow. You don't need applause to be powerful. What you need is intimacy with the one who called you in the first place. What you need is to be rooted in the Word, not addicted to results. What you need is to let preparation do its perfect work, because when the time comes, and it will come, when God says, now, you won't have to chase the opportunity. It will find you. You won't have to beg to be seen. You will shine without trying. You won't have to prove yourself. The fruit will speak for you. And those who once overlooked you will wonder how you came to be so strong, so grounded, so steady. And you will smile not with arrogance, but with gratitude, because you will know you were prepared. You were stretched in the quiet. You were carved in the cave. You were refined in the fire. You were trained in the valley. You were loved in the silence. Elevation without preparation is empty. But when God lifts you after He's built you, oh, child, what a mighty force you become. You become unshakable. You become unstoppable. You become a blessing not just to yourself but to everyone around you. So wait on the Lord. Stay in the process. Embrace the becoming, for even when no one else sees it, heaven is watching. Heaven is cheering. Heaven is preparing a place for you. And when the curtain finally opens, when the light finally shines, you'll step out not as a person seeking applause, but as a vessel ready to pour. And that is the power of preparation. Faith, child, is not a feeling. It is not goosebumps in a moment of music. It is not a tear running down your cheek when the preacher raises his voice. It is not the high of Sunday mornings nor the thrill of answered prayer. No, faith is something far deeper. It is older than time. It is wiser than emotion. It is the quiet, unwavering decision to trust when every visible signs you not to. You see, it's easy to believe when the path is clear, when the money is flowing, when the doors are swinging open, when everything you dreamed of is falling gently into your lap like rain on thirsty ground. But that's not faith. That's comfort. And comfort never taught anyone how to walk on water. Faith, true, soul-deep, God-born faith, shows its face in the dark. It speaks up when logic grows quiet. It stands tall when every other voice says, sit down. Faith is the hand that reaches forward even when your eyes see nothing. It is the whisper that says, go, when everything in you says, stay. It is the leap when you have no net beneath your feet and no map in your hands. And baby, I'll tell you this with every breath the Lord has given me. Faith is not always pretty. It is not always neat. It is not always poetic. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's a tear-streaked face and trembling hands. Sometimes it's falling down and getting back again, not because you feel strong, but because you know deep down that giving up is not an option. You trust the process not because the process is easy, but because the one who holds it is good. That's faith. It means walking when you don't know where the road leads. It means sowing seeds without knowing if the rain will come. It means building the boat before you've ever seen a drop of water. It means obeying the whisper when you don't yet understand the plan. Because faith does not wait for full understanding. It trusts the one who understands it all. So many people want to see before they believe. They want the guarantee before they take the step. But God doesn't work like that. Oh no, He calls you out before you're ready. He tells you to move when you still feel stuck. He gives you a dream so big, so bold that it scares you. And then He steps back and waits to see if you'll trust Him enough to walk. Faith means saying yes without having all the answers. It means showing up when no one is clapping, serving when no one notices, giving when you barely have enough for yourself. It means standing on His word even when your world shakes. It means trusting the process, the shaping, the pruning, the silence, the waiting. You see, faith is not about controlling the outcome. It is about releasing control altogether. And oh my dear, there will be days when you'll want to know how it ends. Days when the silence of heaven will make your soul ache. Days when the process feels too long, too hard, too lonely. But it is in those very moments that faith does its deepest work. Faith grows in the waiting. It strengthens in the silence. It matures in the wilderness. And as you keep walking, one uncertain step at a time, you begin to learn something beautiful. Faith is not just the bridge to the promise. It is the promise. Because every step you take in faith draws you closer to the God who never fails. Every act of trust becomes a declaration that He is still on the throne. Every time you choose to believe despite not seeing, you are echoing the lives of every saint who walked before you. Think of Abraham, who followed God without knowing the destination. Think of Moses, who raised his staff over waters he could not part alone. Think of Esther, who entered a king's court not knowing if she'd walk out alive. Think of Jesus, who surrendered his will in a garden full of sorrow. Faith, child. Faith has always been the path of the brave. It does not always make sense, but it always makes miracles. God does not ask you to understand every step. He only asks you to take it. And when you do, heaven smiles. When you do, chains fall. When you do, angels are dispatched. When you do, even hell trembles. Because nothing confuses the enemy more than a child of God who keeps believing when all hope seems lost. So don't wait to see it before you believe it. Believe it and watch it unfold. Trust the one who sees what you cannot. Trust the one who walks before you, who stands behind you, who lives inside you. Yes, there will be bumps. There will be bruises. There will be nights when you sit on the floor and ask God why. But hold on. Keep moving. The process is not punishment. It is preparation. The struggle is not the end. It is the shaping of your strength. God is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be faithful. And when you get to the other side, when the promise breaks through the clouds like morning light, you'll look back on every moment